Hello, dear friends. The research and publication ethics. This very paper has been introduced by the University Grants Commission, and it has become mandatory for all students of MPhil and PhD. That is, with the opinion or with the optimism that each and every scholar as well as the MPhil students, whenever they will be carrying out their research activities, so they will be ethically sound and they will know all the labyrinths that are there in the academic domain regarding the PhDs or doctoral dissertations and MPhil dissertations. And that's why this particular 30-day week or 30 days or yes, that is 30 hours, as most probably there is a 30 hours program is devised by UGC or has constructed or rather planned by UGC, and the same thing is being held in the department or rather in the University of North Bengal by the different faculties of this university. Myself being the faculty in the Department of Library and Information Science, I have been assigned to take 4 such lectures in this particular paper, like research and publication ethics. The first paper, or rather the first lecture, that is the selective reporting and misrepresentation of data. So here in this particular lecture we will go with the detail of selective reporting and at the same time how data can be misrepresented and how data is usually misrepresented and what the selective representation is, how we are taking the help of what the researchers are actually taking the help of words to tone down the very result or negative results. They are suppressing the negative results by the use of the tone of the words or rather the usage of the words, and at the same time whenever the data is giving them some bit of negative results or negative values, so they are trying to curb it down by using the different types of mechanisms like spinning, like selective reporting, like the data misappropriation, using some kind of statistical measures which is not at all worthy for that particular study. So this type of things, that's selecting. So, but you see, one thing I must say, that is doing all such things requires some bit of knowledge. That is, if you have a fair knowledge of the data and if you have some bit of fair understanding of data, then there is always a chance that you can even manipulate too, because those who do not have the idea of how data should be represented or like that, so obviously these smart fellows, they are like that. They are having the abilities to curb it down. They are having all the abilities to prepare a good result or rather enhance the scientific domain with their insights. But they usually try to take some bit of measures by which they become prone to this type of vulnerabilities, and ultimately what is actually doing that was actually a kind of ethical and social crime, because the knowledge you are generated with the help of all such things, that is the misrepresentation of data and the same time the selective reporting of your fact or rather your result, ultimately the outcome of the result becomes faulty, and what you are trying to portray, that particular thing is obviously not a very efficient one or reliable one or validifiable, and rather it can be validated. So with these things we will be starting with that one, that is the selective reporting as well as the misrepresentation of data. So get tuned yourself, and in the next time or just within a minute I'm coming with that one, that is selective reporting and misrepresentation data. So this will be delivered to you with the help of PowerPoint slides, and these slides are packed with information, and many times some of the information might go beyond of your head. So I'll try to demystify all the very concepts actually sublime to eat, or rather behind it. So get tuned, or rest assured you will understand that one what's there, and at the same time how to carve that one with your effort, positive effort, and how you can better excel by understanding the very concept of selective reporting as well as the misrepresentation of data. So, well, friends, now we are starting our presentation, that is selective reporting and misrepresentation of data. Now, one thing is here you see the primarily two aspects are there. That is, one is the selective reporting and the second one is the misrepresentation of data. Both are rather related with the latter part of your activities, that is the reporting and misrepresentation of data. Actually, whenever you are seeing the research design, you will see that one. So after collection of data, so these particular steps are actually coming after the finding sections, or rather whenever you already did your study and you already collected the raw materials, raw data from the field, or rather some other places from the lab in other places, and ultimately while you are analyzing the data, you are rather organizing the data, and by that time you are looking, you are peeping into the data structure or the data content of the data in such a way that is, you are thinking that one whether the data is rather giving you a bit of satisfaction in your mind, that is, yes, that data is actually looking good, and that data can be represented. But whenever you are rather not very much sure about the data, whenever you are not very much satisfied with the data itself, at the very actually at the later stage of your write-up, then you are actually thinking of these two aspects are coming at that time, that is the selective reporting and misrepresentation of data. That is, you are trying to do something, trying to take some measures, you are trying to invite something in your PhD till date or till now which was going with your ethics as well as is your intuits. Right now you are just shifting that one to something more vulnerable one with your imagination and extended ideas, and that is where the perspective of selective reporting and misrepresentation of data stands. So actually, if you go for that one, you will see the research data almost all the countries. So might be this particular thing is in India or other places. Actually, the research data is a public funded resource that is coming from the taxpayers' money, and it passes into the private enterprises without explicit and remuneration to the public pursuit. But different types of researches are going on each and every time, and obviously it's not true that all researches or all outcome of all researches, all studies are rather going directly to the society or doing such kind of good for the people from where you have taken money for your research. So organizations will obviously try to maximize their values by their investment, what they invested, and the growing opinion from the funders, that is the across that data is a part of their value. So most of the cases, those who will be paying you, they will obviously will ask you to develop something more society oriented one, or the socially focused research, ultimately what by which you can actually you can do something for the social goal, or rather the social development. And practically here the research data is important, so research integrity and the outcome of the research is very much important whenever you are talking about the ethics of research. That is, any such kind of measure should be carved, should be handled very seriously, where the research outcome is rather going against the social development, or rather it is inversely proportional to the social development. So now we are coming to this graph or schematic representation where we are actually stating that one, that is, this is a kind of spiral, or rather you can say that one data life cycle, or not spiral, rather this is a kind of circle of data, or this should be a spiral. But here you see this creation of data is rather, first what are the phases thing, you know that one, we are creating the data, and obviously we are having so many data management plans and all other things. Then we are going to process the data. This processing of data, creating the data means what? So whenever you are going to a field study, whenever you are actually working in a lab and you are doing your own work with the help of the previous works, with your other insights, with your own abilities, with your own concepts and cognitions, you are actually creating the data, and then you are processing the data. After processing the data, and process means what the data is there, you process, filter that one, a kind of processing, a kind of filtration of that one, and then you started analyzing that one, desensitization for the future sharing. Then you preserve that one, and then you are giving access to that data, that is actually by writing something somewhere, but and then this data is being reused by other fellows. So this is how the research is going on: data creation, processing, curation, filtration, uh, storage, retrieval, reuse, again recreation. So this is the way by which we do create data. And now here comes, that is where things can go wrong. Now obviously, you suppose you have the data, so now you have the data, but you have some bit of personal interest with the data. Personal interest, as early as possible you have to submit your PhD. You want to go for that one, that is, if you complete your PhD, or rather the thesis or your research earlier, then you will get the direct promotion. So then you have the other measures like the sponsors interest and the QRP and RM, and all these three things together is actually prompting you, forcing you, compelling you to go for positive results, false positive results. I see. So it's apparently seems that one is a positive result, but actually it is not positive. It's a false positive. That is, you are in such a way, that is, you are always trying to complete your PhD or the doctoral thesis in such a way that is, it should give some result, although we were showing that one as a positive result, but it is actually the false. Now what could be the false positives or false positive results? So you are actually making citations, giving much more citations, or rather the citations you have never used, all those things. Then you are trying to catch the media attention by writing different, or the salami slicing, that one, by representing the data in the chunks and making a lot of publications with that. That is, you are not revealing the whole result in a particular publication. You are just actually making the chunks of that one, and you are making the publications, and at the same time you are citing the same thing. Is here it comes, the self citation, co-citation, all these things, and ultimately what you are actually going to get, more grants and tenure. So this is how these things are actually going. But see, the problem is what? All these three things, that is actually whenever the personal interest is coming, this QRP and RM, there is a pressure from your researchers, pressure from your guide, pressure from your authority, pressure from the body's time limitation. All these things are actually coming to this one, and this is what the problematic situation we are having. Next thing is that, you see, another concept is here, that is the concept of spinning. Now what is that spinning? Spinning is using the vocabulary, is using the words by which you are trying to tone down the very finding of your research, that is negative finding of research. You are tone down the negative finding of research by conscious or rather unconscious effort. It's not like that. So this is how you see that is publication is not simply the reporting of the facts and straightforward analysis thereof. Now here you see the authors have broad latitude when writing their reports, broad latitude writing their work, and may be tempted to consciously or unconsciously spin their study findings, spin, use of different vocabularies, use of specialized vocabularies, use of non-related vocabularies, and with that one, spin is rather the specific intentional or unintentional reporting that fails to faithfully reflect the nature and range of findings, and that affect the impression the result produces in readers. So the way you are representing your research might not be that much, but as because you are very good at writing that one in such a way, some kind of twisting, and that is what the problem of spinning is. That is, you are rather glorifying, exemplifying your finding with the shadow of vocabularies and words. You see, spinning could be the problem of understanding the methodological principle as well as a kind of parroting the common practices. This parroting means that is mimicking the common practices. That is actually what the other fellows are doing. And the researcher is also doing the same thing. A kind of train of the thing is going on. So this trend, a kind of continuity is going on, and a form of unconscious behavior or actual willingness. So this is what, if it is intentional, this is really bad. So for intention, there might be something that is actually we have to carve it down, and for the unconscious, we have to warn them, we have to tell them, we have to make them ethically sound so that they can actually avoid all such anomalies that may creep in while they are writing the reports. However, spin, if it when occurs, many times often favors the author's vested interest, that is intellectual, academic, and so forth. So, actually, this spinning should be a kind of great, or rather a kind of threatening aspect right now in case of literary writing, specifically for the PhD write-up, and almost all the time. So I can say you one thing like spinning. You see, one example I can cite. So one particular individual did PhD, and according to the mathematical measurements, the sample from the undefined population came near about 380. And after doing the result, after completion of the result, whenever she found that one, that is this particular result is not giving that much of, you can say, eye-catching result, she just doubled that one and made this sample more, just twice of that one, and claiming that one, the inference she drawn from that research is same as the inference she drawn from the previous half of the sample. So this is the effect of spinning, and this is actually some kind of thing that is the author's bestest interest, that's the intellectual, academic, and so forth. So these are the problems, and you see here comes the two aspects. One is the falsification, and the second one is the fabrication. Now, falsification is rather what you see, that is a kind of changing, omission of that one research results to support claims, hypotheses, and is a manipulation of research instrumentation, material, processes, manipulation of images, all this, and reads too much between the lines. This is falsification. Fabrication is making something. Falsification is something giving the data, false data, the changing, omission of it. And a fabrication is nothing but the construction. See, two basic differences in there. Falsification is where the data is already there, and at the same time, while you are citing the data, while you are writing the data, while you are portraying the data, you are trying to visualize the data, you are just twisting the data of your own. That is, a kind of data is already there and you are changing that one, and it's a manipulation of research instruments. See, suppose you use beaker, another one is writing something, you got that one, that is materials, and you see that one, some of the materials you didn't get, and you were saying that one, that is on, you included that material also, processes. And many times the data, right now, images, so these are rather a big trouble for research, because many times this image can be changed, shaped, or rather altered in such a way with the use of digital media. So any image, whether that particular image is rather the real image or not, or rather a kind of false image, no one will understand that one just by replacing, substituting the very context of the image. So if you actually produce that one, that will be the falsification. And fabrication is rather engineered, something you manufactured, constructed. And this is addition of data, observation. It is actually that never occurred in the data gathering process or the examinations. So it was no way there, and what you did from your study, with your understanding, with your own thinking, you just started inserting, filling out that one, that is the rest of the experiments, and you are claiming at the later stage, that is the complete data set, you are actually saying that one, yes, this is a result, but actually might be 60% are actually coming from your own research, and other 40% what you did, you just inserted, you prepared, you made, you engineered, and you did that one. Why? Because you want to show a good result, and that is what, that is the fabrication of data. So two aspects, one is falsification and another aspect. You see, as I was saying you that one, that is the misrepresentation of data. What is that? Deceptive communication. Now see the usage of statistics. It is having the numerous opportunities to you to misrepresent data. That is, you can use one kind of statistical technique, or rather the analysis of variance, so which might not at all be implemented in your research, but you did that one just to glorify your research, just to make your research to look better, result look better. And another aspect is that you can eliminate some of the values which are negative, or rather the values which are rather near to zero. So what you are actually doing, you are disregarding all those things, discarding all those, uh, trimming down the outliers and cleaning up the raw data, and you are just representing the data by citing only the bigger values, and you are saying that one, all those lower values are not having that much of impact in your research, and thus in this way you are rather cleaning up. Means what? You are rather eliminating some of the core things which might give you some bit of different result. And obviously the graph you are doing, making figures you are making, or rather you are actually representing the statistical form, it is rather giving you some kind of falsified figure and false results. And that is what the big problem of misrepresentation of data. So you are using the suggestive language for the rhetorical effect, and the line between misrepresentation of data and disagreement about research method is often blurry. This is what important thing, that is what, that is, am I misrepresenting the data, or rather I am disagreement, or rather I have a great disagreement about the research method. This is blurry. That is what kind of research method I will choose, and what type of results that may come. And if I say that one, yes, it is a misrepresentation of data, many times a researcher can challenge that one also. That is why, that is how you can say that one, this particular statistical method is not fit for that one. So this is actually one particular problem. So it is quite difficult to define, and that's why there are a kind of thing that one, this misrepresentation of data, or misrepresenting the data, in the form of scientific misconduct is not rather been considered that much of, you can say that one, having impact on that one. But it is important to call attention to the problem of misrepresentation. That is, if you are concerned with the promoting the objectivity of the research, so many science errors that actually comes from the misrepresentation of data. Now here you see, almost all the times, that is many times, you can challenge, you can even pose against the very concept or very ideas of all these things, because all these ideas or all these check and balances are not foolproof also. Now you can say that one, how, on what context you were saying me that I am misrepresenting the data. Yes, that is challengeable, and that's why many organizations, they are not, or many of the people, they are not actually even thinking that one, all these things are having that much of impact. But question is, whenever they see the integrity of research, the scientific aptitude, or rather your ethical, moral, or rather the social, you can say that was the social responsibility for developing the knowledge society, or rather you can say that one, a kind of generating social good, social capital. In that perspective, whenever you are saying that one, yes, I am a researcher and I am developing something, and here the most important thing is that you must always try to go for direct representation of the data. Don't actually use such kind of measures by eliminating some of the concepts or some of the values, by eliminating, by cleaning the raw data, or choosing different kinds of statistical methods, whether you understand that one or not. So you are using that one, and taking a kind of language by which, by twisting that one, you are actually trying to say something in such a way that is not been represented properly by the users who are actually going through your research results. So misrepresentation, another kind of misrepresentation is obviously there, that I must say that one to you, specifically statistical analysis, whenever it is represented in any kind of thesis or rather doctoral dissertation. So actually there we usually see that when the researcher defines that one, or rather narrates that one, what is already stated in the graph itself. So this analysis is actually a kind of double analysis the researcher is making. There is one analysis, he analyzed that one, he processed the information, he analyzed that one with the help of statistical graphs or statistical presentation, with the help of graphical presentation, or rather the mathematical presentation. But at the same time, he can't help himself without being narrating it with the same thing like that one, that is, this data represents that up to this is these males are these, females are these, and the total number of total percentage of this x variable is this, y variable is this. Now see, from the data itself, from the graph itself, it is quite clear. There is no actual meaning to write that one same in the natural language, or rather yours what. So here the analysis should be that one, in what context this result is coming, that is what are the hurdles and why such things are coming, and that should be analyzed. And whenever you are representing that one with the help of some kind of twisted thing, and without writing the real cause, or without knowing the real cause, might be your questionnaire was like that, which never reflected that one, but you are inferring something, writing something of your own, that is what that will lead to misrepresentation of data. Okay, so next thing is that now roots of selective reporting and misrepresentation of data. That is how these things are actually coming. That is why people are going for selective reporting, and they are actually doing the misrepresentation. But you see, there are several causes. So these causes are rather quite natural and practically applicable to almost all the places, and I think in the first or second or third slide, I shown you a kind of graph. That is where the pressures are there from the different places. That is which actually prompted for going for the selective reporting. In that case, also the same thing. The departmental publishing requirements, the publishing requirements. That is, your department is rather asking you to publish, and it is required for a promotion, most of the cases. So our scholars and our PhD scholars, the MPhil students, that one, they are the budding faculties, they are the budding that is university or college professors, teachers, and obviously that one, for the promotions we have lot of requirements regarding these articles. A lot of stringent measures are there. Competitive pressure, pressure that the intraneous pressure, extraneous pressures, and then institutional, regional, national recognition. Obviously, the more international, regional, national recognition you will get, you will be considered as the more prolific one in your field, and you will be considered as one of the most authoritative fellow. So these are actually the causes. The financial remunerations, media publicity, inadequate data management practices, policies, and storage resources. That is, you are not very much sure about how data are being managed, what are the policies. Time is a pressure. Specifically, you have to complete your research within 5 years, minimum 3 or maximum 5 or 6, and then you can, if you are one woman scholar, then you can extend something over there. But if you are rather one male scholar, then you have to appeal otherwise. So this time, the more time you will take, the more challenges will there, actually challenges will come. So all these factors, what you are actually, even your literature review, what you did actually do, so that will also become obsolete whenever the time will pass, or that as time passes by. So you have to include more new things to your literature review. And these researchers, they do not feel well equipped with the knowledgeable about how to publish. That is the publishing. And lastly, legal and ethical concerns. These are also the most important concerns that we know. So next one is coming like that one, this honesty, objectivity, and integrity in research. This, you see, honesty, objectivity, and integrity, and avoiding bias in experimental design, data analysis, data interpretation, and reporting of data, results, methods, and the procedures, and all are optimal for research. Now, it may sound like some kind of coming from some hollow things, or rather hollow vessels. It's coming like these words like honesty, objectivity, and integrity. But believe me, so if you have a very greater uh, understanding of the subject, and if you really think about the subject, and if you are serious about thinking of the subject, and if you did your data collection properly, then rest assured that you can interpret the data with much more honesty and much more objectivity and much more integrity. But if the primary stages, whenever you collected the data, you didn't pay that much of importance in your data collection method and really on the methodology itself, so might be at the later stages you will find that when your data is actually incomplete, you cannot even infer, you cannot even analyze the data, because there are so many loopholes, so there are so many factors are missing, and that is where the problem is. So that is what the most important thing is, that data interpretation and reporting. Here you must have to be honest. Honest in what sense? First of all, you collect the data, and once you collect the data, be sure about that one, that is what the data you are collecting, that data is fine, and that data can be represented, and even the data you collected are having some kind of negative impact, or rather not impact, I'm saying that, or a kind of negative values or not that much of affirmation is there in that data, even in that sense also, you being one bias-free researcher and one honest researcher, you have to represent that data in that manner, in that shape. Don't try to twist that one, reshape that one, reconstruct that one, and if you do that one, it won't be optimal for the research. So fabrication, falsification, or misrepresentation of data is plainly unethical and should not be resorted to. Trimming outliers, you know that one, that is what that is. Whenever you are ranking that one, suppose you are rather trying to find out that thing, that is a kind of social research. In case of social research, you are getting that one, you are working on the workers, and at the same time you are actually saying that one, the workers, that is, you are reducing those fellows, you are discarding those fellows who are actually below age 10, and you are not actually taking that one by this way. That is, by seeing that thing, by saying that thing, because they are child and we are not considering them. But you see, in the rural society, in our society, if you do not, if your research demands that one, and if your scope limitation, you state that one clearly, that one, I am not taking those fellows, it's okay. But if you never stated anything in your scope, and if you want to, you are saying that one, all working fellows in a particular community, and ultimately whenever you are seeing that one, you are discarding all those fellows, that is, who are rather below age 10. These are rather trimming the outliers from the data set. So what data you collected, that was actually included with that one, but right now whenever you are calculating, you are discarding them. So this is what you are outlining, you are actually trimming down. So obviously whenever you are drawing, you will draw some inferences and you will actually go for some statistical measures. So these elimination or this trimming will give you obviously some kind of result which is falsified, the result which is not true. So obvious, these are rather the problem with objectivity of the research, and whenever you are stating that one, you are not into showing the integrity, and at the same time you are breaching the very concept of honesty. So next one is, you see, that is the another aspects of this one. There's the honesty. Now if you say that one, how can I understand that one, I am honest? Being a researcher, that is, honesty represents that one, you must go for the valid interpretations and justifiable claims. Valid interpretation and justifiable claims. Reliability, that is the performing and reporting research. Reliable, what you did in your data collection, you are reporting the same thing. Objectivity, transparent, and your data, your result can be verifiable. Impartiality and independence, that is from pressure from the interest. Don't actually think that research will give you something new in your life. Might be that initially you will get something, some pleasure, might be you will get some bit of money. Many of the people, they do not do research for the money, but if you do research impartially, and if you do research just by thinking on that one, that is, I want to do something, I want to justify something for my subject, for my domain itself, then you will see that one, your research will carry much more value than that of other places, than that of the thing you are, rather than your own bias. Open communication. And open communication means, do, whenever you did your research and you completed your research and you are writing that one, so ensure availability and accessibility of your, that is, don't be shy of criticism, don't be shy of hiding that one. Let it be seen by others so that they can also raise questions about the integrity and validity, or rather the honesty for that you actually put into your research. and duty of care, that is also comes under the objectivity, that is for the research subject. So whenever you are studying that one, the human subjects, you are studying the community, you have to understand the community value, you have to understand the community belief, community faith. You cannot hurt that one. Experimentation in case of the experimental animals, so you have to be very much honest with that, careful, and you have to be adorable too with them. So fairness, referencing, crediting, relationship with the colleagues, and responsibility for the future science generation. So you have to mentor that one. See, once you have developed, might be you are taking too much of pain to learn or to get all these things, but once you will be equipped with all these armors, now you can train all of your companions, that is how to use those armors whenever they are in distress, and how to make them immune to these particular problems or this very concept of dishonesty. And this is the basic thing for, you can see the ethical aspects. And this what are the issues involved in the ethical issues involved in the data reporting. Now see, first one is that what we are actually what we identified the different types of issues. The failing to include number of eligible participants, that is whenever you are actually making the sample, or rather this is the important thing, that is you have to be very cautious about that one, that is you have to include the number of eligible participants more. Inaccurate reporting of missing data points, inaccurate reporting, you are not, why those things were not treated, you have to write that one clearly. Failing to report all pertinent data, many of the cases whenever you are writing that one, different types of groups you are making, and you see by covering all the categories, or right, lastly you are actually saying that one others. Now see, whenever you are saying others, actually what constitute these others, what constitutes this particular group, the other, you have to write that one clearly. So otherwise this will mean that one, because no one will understand that is whether a kind of cross classification is there, that is something is kept in others as well as something is as put in the other places also. So this is very important thing. Failing to report negative result, that is what one most important thing, that is failing to report negative results, because many of the researchers they, after doing 3 or 4 years of study, whenever they are actually seeing that one, their results is giving negative, they become skeptical about their findings, and they go for this one. Allowing research sponsors to influence research results, don't even go for that one. Research is some kind of honest things, don't allow others to influence your research. Inappropriate graph levels, there is no point of describing this one. Reporting percentages rather than that of the actual numbers, these percentages are rather very showy, and if you show that one catchy thing, eye-catchy one, because you see whenever you are writing one, the value 1, but if you write that one, that is 2.39%, that is 2.39 is more than 1, and obviously we are seeing that one, that is yes, it's rather showing something actually good, or rather fine. Reporting no difference when power is inadequate, then data dragging, splitting the data into multiple publication, that is actually the salami slicing, inappropriate use of terminology without precise definition, that is, you see many times you are writing that on the abbreviation forms, you are writing something and you are not actually using the definitions, that is for what purpose you are using that particular terminology, because each and every subject is having their own terminology, a kind of own vocabulary. But if you actually invite other vocabularies in your own study, first of all you have to do that one, you have to report that one, and many times you have to know that one, whenever you are using the abbreviations, at least 1 or 2 times, one time you have to write the abbreviation along with the full, that is full uh, term of that abbreviation or full string of that abbreviation. Along with that one, the abbreviation should be there, and later you can refer that one, that abbreviation. And reporting conclusions are not supported by the data. We have seen so many of such things, that is the research questions and the objectives as well as the hypotheses. All the things are rather in different positions, and the conclusion is giving something different. Ignoring citations or prior work that challenge stated conclusions or call current findings into question. That is, you are actually ignoring that one. So this one is very important, because if it matches with your conclusion, then your PhD is rather at stake. But many times it can be like that one, your current findings, if you suddenly discover that one, that is something is there which is rather being contrary to your, which going contrary to your finding, there is might be a tendency that you don't want to incorporate that one with your study. And this inflation of research results for the media, the inflation of research results, and the results inappropriately level the statistical tests. So now you see, there is one particular agency, that is Committee of Publication Ethics, and Committee on Publication Ethics, and they have their own site, that is https publicationethics.org. They are rather providing the leadership in thinking of publication ethics and practical issues to educate people. So if you people go to this particular site, you will see that one, there are the different aspects regarding the ethical issues that one has to follow for that one, that is scholarly research and its publication. And this site is rather showing you the different types of misconducts, or rather, so this one, allegations, authorships and contributions, so many of the things are there. So if you go there, you will have a clear understanding of that one, what really is going on regarding research as well as the scholarly publication world, and what are the different actually misconducts are there, how internationally that are being people are trying to carve that one, and what are the international status and what are the national status also. You can go there and you can check that one. You know that one, UGC has already made some policies with that one, that is the checking of plagiarism for misconduct or all such things. They have already developed that one, this particular course, and each and every university imparting PhD and MPhil education, they're bound to carry out this course of 30 hours. And another thing is that UGC has developed, core journals, they have the peer review journals, and UGC Care, that one, where they are trying to sanitize the information overload, or rather the problems of publication, or rather the misconducts done by the researchers or the authors. And at the same time, there are other things also. There are www.retraction.com, one site is obviously there, where you can go that one, some of the journals who are actually pulling out the research articles from the authors by means of some of their policies, and how the authors are rather claiming that one, no, this is their fundamental thing, their fundamental. And with these studies and with these aspects of misconduct and non-misconduct, some real issues are also coming up. And if you go to the www.retraction.com, you will understand that one, some of the people who are being challenged, very notable fellow who are being challenged to withdraw their scientific productions like journal articles from the journals because of the journal policies, and later they rectified that one, or rather the journal editors editorial policy, they changed that one. So all these things are actually coming with these ethical and moral aspects of research. So next thing is that one, you see the case study. You see how to respond to a reader's repeated concerns. There is complaints and appeals, journal management, post-publication decision. So one particular thing is there, that is, suppose you are you have submitted one thing, but different types of complaints are actually there. So you can go for appeal, you have to go with the journal management, then post-publication discussion, corrections, all these things. And author displays bullying behavior towards handling editors. So this one, so a lot of things are there. If you go there, you will see that one. These are the case under guidance. If you go there, you will actually see the case studies, and you will get that one. And even you can go to the www.retraction.com just to get much more information regarding this. And these are the references, but I think, although I have mentioned there 2 or 3 things, but as because all the information here is rather being presented with the understanding of the Creative Commons license, so actually the license rests with those fellows. Here for the academic purpose we actually gathered some of the things, and I tried to narrate that one. In case of any such problem, you can call me, or you can actually catch me, or you can ping me in sghosh@nbu.ac.in, sghosh@nbu.ac.in. So